Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. This is another makeup tutorial, and this one is actually going to be a how-to on Kylie Jenner's makeup. I know everybody has their opinions about the Kardashians and the reality show. Age set aside, reality show set aside, her family set aside. The girl's makeup is on point, and that is just my opinion. For anybody else that has any different opinion, well, we're all entitled to one. And actually in my last tutorial with the purple lipstick, some of my friends were kind of making fun, saying how I think just the way the hair was in my face in that photograph, commenting like, oh, you kind of look like Kylie Jenner. And just for the record, by no means do I think I look like her. So really her main focuses when it comes to her look are going to be pretty much almost bare eyes, but she has very exaggerated eyelashes. And usually the top ones are the ones that are mostly exaggerated. And then she has minimal, everything else is pretty minimal. And then of course the dark taupe. I'm calling it dark taupe. I don't know if that's right, but that's what I'm going to go for right now, or that's the word that I'm going to use. So the dark taupe lip. If you want to find out how I got this look, then just keep on watching, and I hope you all enjoy. If you have any other celebrity requests, let me know down in the comments below, because I find celebrity makeup probably the most fun to recreate. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye!
Okay, so first things first, we're just going to push all our hair out of our way, because nothing's more annoying than when it's all in our face. Am I right? Then taking Kiehls Micro Blur Skin Perfector. This is a little baby that I just discovered in my sample drawer. And I'm going to be using this as a primer. This seriously leaves the surface of your skin feeling ultra smooth and silky, and it even says it minimizes the look of pores over time and retexturizes the skin's surface. So just smoothing this out all over our face before going in with foundation. I seriously need to go pick up a full-size bottle of this because I am in love. Then taking Revlon's Colorstay Whip Foundation, I am in the shade Natural Beige. And if you guys want to see a full review of this foundation, I'm going to link it down below to my blog. Just applying this with a flat foundation brush all over our face, and then using a buffing brush. I am actually using Sephora's 56 Flawless Airbrush. And I'm just going to be using circular motions to buff this all out, to going over all over our face, and I'm just going to speed through this. So this foundation is a little bit darker than what I would typically use, but I have found that I'm really digging this color. It really adds a little bit more warmth to my skin and making me look like I have a little bit of a tan. If you guys feel like you need more coverage, such as I do, then feel free to add on any second layer to areas where you feel like you could use a little bit more coverage, since this foundation is buildable. Then taking my Mary Kay Beige 1 concealer, and I am using Beige 1 as opposed to my Ivory 2, which I normally use, just because this foundation is a little bit darker. And I'm just going to spot this onto the areas where I feel like I need a little bit more coverage, such as blemishes or discoloration areas. And taking that same foundation brush that we used to buff out the foundation, we're going to be using this to stipple out the concealer, making sure it blends in nice and evenly into our skin. Then taking my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade Fair, I'm going to be using this to brighten and conceal under the eyes, and I'm not going to be extending this down the sides of my nose like how I normally do. I really just want to focus this under the eye area where I have any discoloration. And then taking my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, I'm going to be using this to buff it all out and making sure that I extend this up towards the temples, just so I can give a little bit of lift to my eye area. Then taking MAC's Paint Pot in Soft Ochre, I'm going to be using this not only as a primer, but also to conceal any discoloration that I have on my eyelids, just to make sure everything blends out evenly into my concealer and into my foundation. And just to make sure everything's set off and in place, I'm using my Mary Kay Mineral Powder Foundation in the shade Ivory 2. This is just a finely milled powder, and using this over the areas where I typically get oily, and then just lightly going over the rest of our face. This is just going to make sure everything is nice and smooth and flawless, just like Kylie Jenner's skin is. Now for brows, I am actually going to be using a powder, and I'm using Mary Kay's eyeshadow in the shade Espresso. This is just a dark brown that matches my color of my hair. And just making sure we brush down our eyebrow hairs in all the same direction. I'm going to be using this to just fill in any sparse areas with a hard angle brush. And I've noticed that Kylie Jenner's eyebrows are a little bit more pointed on the arch, and her arch isn't actually more of an alignment to her pupil. So I'm going to be doing the best I can to bring my arch as close to my pupil as possible. And then not only that, but her eyebrows do extend a little bit longer, so I'm going to make sure I really elongate the ends of my tail. And then also just setting it off with some clear brow gel. Now for the eyes, we are using Urban Decay's Naked 3 palette, and as a base I'm taking the shade Strange, and then for my crease using the shade Nooner. Now just making sure you apply Strange all over the lid from the brow bone all the way to the inner corners, and then taking a fluffy crease brush, we're just going to be pushing the shade Nooner from the outer corner all the way to the inner corner, making sure you just really darken in that shade, accentuating that crease, and then using circular motions to buff out the crease and diffusing the color all the way up into our brow bone. These are the only two eyeshadows we're going to be using for this eye look, since her eyes are usually just in a minimal look. If anything, she just adds a slight winged liner, which you can feel free to do so. And then to really round off the eye, just connect the outer crease all the way to the outer V of the eye. Now for contouring. Kylie Jenner's nose is a lot slender and slimmer than mine, so I'm going to be using my Tarte Amazonian Clay Matte Bronzer in Park Avenue Princess to just make sure I really contour the sides of my nose, and not only the sides but also the tip of my nose to make sure we really get that nice rounded pixie look. And then to make our bottom lip look a little bit fuller, I'm going to be taking that same bronzer and brush, and just where the dimple of our cheek begins and the bottom lip ends, just going in there with the same bronzer. Now her forehead isn't as broad as mine, so just taking the same bronzer and a big face brush, we're just going to be using this to bronze the hairline, and also making sure we get down to our temples. This is going to give us that nice squared off face. Also, make sure you don't ignore the jawline. Her jawline is more profound than mine, and I'm just going to be using this to make sure I contour the sides. And also on the hollows of our cheek, we're just going to be scooping out, making sure the high points of our cheeks are really lifted. Then going in with blush, I'm going to be using this soft mauve blush. This is Mary Kay's Citrus Bloom, and I'm going to be using this to just lightly go over the areas where we contoured, because really the next bronzer that we're going to be using is what's going to really bring out our cheeks and make them pop. But just swirling this onto the apples of our cheeks, bringing it all the way back towards our hairline. Then taking Mary Kay's powder bronzer, this is in the shade light to medium. This bronzer has a little bit of a sheen finish, so when the light hits it, it does reflect a little bit of light. So not only is this going to be used to accentuate our blush, but it's also going to be used as a little bit of a highlight for the high points of our cheek. After dusting this over the hollows of our cheek where we had placed our blush, take a duo fiber face brush. I'm using one from Real Techniques, and I'm just going to make sure I blend this out evenly just so there aren't any harsh lines. Then to really give our face that square look, I'm going to be just using a little bit of that same bronzer and applying it on the corner of our mouth. To prep our lashes for the falsies, I'm going to be first using Mary Kay's Lash Primer. This is just going to give a little bit of length, and then using Mary Kay's Lash Love Mascara in I Love Black and just coating our lashes evenly. And you're going to notice that using the lash primer before the mascara really gives a little bit of length, and this is going to really help blend in our natural lashes into the falsies, since the falsies are going to be quite dramatic. Kylie Jenner's look, it really is focused on her long lashes. So for these, I'm using Ardell's Black Whispies in the Glamour line that they have, and you're going to notice that, bam, it adds an instant oomph to our look. And you can apply lashes without liner, ladies. Just really utilize those tweezers, squeezing the lash band as close to the lashes as possible. Next, taking NYX Wonder Pencil in the shade Medium. This is just a skin colored liner, and I'm going to be using this to line our waterline. This is just going to really open up my eye area. Since my eyes are a lot smaller than hers, she has that beautiful doe-eyed look going on. Then taking a smudge brush and the shade Nooner, which is the same shade that we used in our crease, we're going to be using this to define the lash line a little bit more. This is really going to help open up the eye even more and making your eyes look even bigger. And then taking the same fluffy crease brush that we use, we're going to be using this to diffuse out the color, making sure that you give a nice, even, soft look. And we cannot forget to line or to coat our bottom lashes in mascara. Really take your time, go over maybe about 2 or 3 times, because Kylie Jenner's bottom lashes are also very long and very pretty. So just to make sure we really give that nice elongated look, we're going to make sure that we define every little every little lash that we can. You're also going to see that this helps even out and balances out the very dramatic lashes that we just put on. And keep in mind that for no matter what makeup look you're trying to achieve, really coating the bottom lashes is always such a vital step. It really makes your eyes just pop. Opening up the eye area, just making your eyes appear even bigger. Now for the last step, we're using Revlon's Color Burst Matte Balm. This is in the shade Sultry. Now, Kylie Jenner usually rocks that dark taupe lip, so this color was a pretty good match for it, and also her lips seem to always be matte. So just making sure, you can always go in with the lip liner and just overdraw your lips. I'm just going to be using this shade and the pointed edge of it to really overdraw my lips just a tad bit, since her lips do appear to be a little bit fuller than mine. And then just taking a lip brush, you can really just define the edges, or you can clean up with concealer. It's totally your choice. Then just finishing off with some setting spray. I'm using Mary Kay's, and this is pretty much the finished look, guys. So now that we're all done, go take a signature Kylie Jenner selfie. Bye!